Yes, I'm back with another video, and this video is going to be a bit of a departure from the videos that you may be used to on this channel, or rather, the videos that I've grown comfortable posting in regards to tech. I figure I want to talk more about my life and my experiences here, because as the title suggests, I've hit a new milestone. I've managed to land a six-figure salary and a new job opportunity that's going to be a huge stepping stone for me for my career here as a developer here in Japan. I remember posting this clip on my Instagram back in March, and I'm going to play it for you guys.
I cannot believe it, man. Yo.
Back then and still now, I've been so lost for words about how lucky I've been. And yes, I'm conscious enough to know that it's a delicate balance talking about a subject like this, especially with the title that I have and the thumbnail that accompanies this video. On one hand, if I focus solely about the money, it can come across as me bragging or being shallow. But on the other hand, I do feel like this is very valuable information. I managed to hit a major milestone here within 5 years, and I would like to at least open the door for other people so they can understand what's possible and what's realistically achievable here as well. I know many people who watch this channel are interested in Japan as well as software development. I can see the analytics on LinkedIn as well as YouTube, and I can kind of get an idea based off the people who've been messaging me recently. So that's kind of the reason why I wanted to share this. But in order to do that, I kind of really want to take a step back and talk about how was my life here when I first got to Japan. Back in 2017, when I was 22, I was an English teacher in Kochi. And I made about $22,000 a year. And although that's survivable in Japan, it's not enough for someone who has student loans like myself, and as well as my goals, which require money like most people goals. So believe it or not, when I first moved here, my goal was to only live in Japan for about 6 months. Around the time that I got my teaching offer, I also got accepted into a master's degree program in Hong Kong. At the time, I was really excited. I wanted to get my business degree, and I wanted to, live in Hong Kong for a couple of years and start my own business. I was doing all of this research on this. The problem was when I moved to Japan back in March 2017, maybe a month into my stay here, I found out that I wasn't gonna get the scholarship. And without that, going to a university out there in Hong Kong is just so prohibitively expensive. So I decided to stay in Japan and teach English until I figured things out. And this is 2017 through 2018. Fast forward a year into the story, it's 2018 and I am broke. Those internet paychecks just wasn't cutting it anymore. So I started looking for jobs everywhere. I applied to teaching jobs in China because they advertised that the pay was about $30,000 a year, and they only required you to work 30 hours a week. So I figured I can go get an online master's while doing that at the same time. Well, when I applied to a job, I believe the city was Shanghai, the school representative told me straight up that they don't hire black people, but he can offer me a job in a rural part of China for just half of the pay. And I was like, fuck that. It completely turned me off of the idea of ever really moving to China. And when I got rejected from that job, that was around maybe April of 2018. So we're talking about right into the springtime. And I think around that time is when I was teaching myself how to program. I was practicing damn near every single day, and I was applying for jobs, as many jobs as I can, and I was being rejected by all of them. That's just the way it is, I guess, when you first starting off. But ultimately, I landed a job here in Tokyo in November 2018 for a front-end developer position for a media publishing company. They offered me a salary for about $44,000 per year, and I was really excited because at the time, for me, I doubled my money. I went from $2 million as an English teacher to $4.4 million a year, and I got to leave the rural city that I lived in here in Japan and then move to Tokyo, the world's biggest city, and really just prove to myself that I can really make something of myself in this city. And I couldn't believe it. It was like a dream come true. I get to live in Tokyo, and I managed to double my salary. So I packed my bags and moved into this share house. My place was like the size of a closet, but I made it work. I was living my dream and I was hustling. And that was around the time that I was doing that 100-day challenge I talked about in my last video, as well as in the Black Experience Japan video. I was practicing every single day and doing my day job as well, with the hope that I can rapidly grow as a developer. Fast forward a year and it's about 2019. I've been practicing so much, I'm starting to feel confident about my skills as a developer, and I'm trying to take more responsibilities at work. I started to look at salary data around that time about how much other people were making for my skill sets in the local area. And after doing my research and talking to people, I kind of found out that the average developer was making $50,000 a year fresh out of a boot camp. So I had this with my manager and I brought the topic about the possibility of the raise. And before I can even say a word, she had this to say. Well, not exactly. I'm kidding, of course. But she did shut me down immediately. That kind of began to push me out of the door of that first company. So I started to apply for job after job after job. And during that 6-month stretch, because I asked for the raise around November 2019 or October 2019. It was probably October 2019. Those 6 months I was looking for a job, because I did ultimately land a job in April, I got rejected time after time after time. And no company basically took me seriously. If you're just starting off as a developer, at least for me, if you don't speak Japanese, they usually look for people who have 3 years more of experience. This is back in 2019. It might be a little bit different. If you did speak Japanese, and you can probably find a pretty entry-level job. So I was kind of like stuck in between this rock and a hard place. But eventually I did start seeing some success around the pandemic, actually, when COVID started. I believe March or April in 2020, I got my first job offer at a company called Rakuten, and I accepted it. But then I also changed my mind, I believe like a week later, because by that time I had 2 years of working experience specifically in Japan. My experience is kind of hard to calculate sometimes because I did know HTML and CSS. So oftentimes when I'm talking to these companies, I try to lump those years that I did do web design, which is different than development, into my experience. With that experience that I had, I knew I could get a job at this point for $60,000 a year. And I did that. That's the job that I had almost up until this point, until I switched over to this brand new job. And I was really happy. It was a wonderful job, and the people were great, and I grew tremendously from that experience. So I don't have anything negative to say about it, but I always did see that job as a bit of a stepping stone so I can continue to progress in my career, I guess one would say. But I still kept interviewing at other companies. The reason why wasn't because I was trying to leave immediately. I knew that eventually when I did leave, I need to be ready to be out there in the job market, because my first time looking for jobs here in Japan, it was very difficult. It took me months to find one. And then the second time I started looking for jobs after my first developer job, it took even longer to find one. So I wanted to make sure that when I was ready to leave, I would be on the strongest foot possible. So I kept interviewing at companies so I can see what my skills was worth objectively in the marketplace. And it just kept me sharp the entire time. I kept taking programming tests after programming tests. You name a company, I basically interviewed for them. I probably did easily over 30 different interviews over 2 years at maybe 20 different companies, just so I can stay sharp. And I even told the recruiters that we're working with that I actually like my job, but I'm just casually browsing. For you guys who are in certain stages of your career, I don't recommend this for everybody, but if you are in a stage of your career that you maybe don't feel too confident about your skills, but you do have a job and you're looking towards the future, start preparing now. Like, start interviewing at companies where you have nothing to lose, because if you don't have anything to lose, you can go there and get that feedback. And then when you finally get that job that you really want, you are just ready. You are as sharp as a knife when it comes to doing these interviews. And for the most part, I was by the time I was ready to leave. But anyways, fast forward again, we're gonna fast forward in this story, and it's the beginning of 2022. And the yen is plummeting. And for those of you who are Americans right now, who actually live in Japan, who send money back home, boy oh boy, it's like watching your salary drop by like 20%. Basically overnight, because the yen plummeted over the course of like 3 months. Like it was really fucking bad, and it's still pretty bad right now. But besides the yen plummeting, we're about 2 years into COVID, and Japan has basically shut the country down since the start of the pandemic, which means that there's been a bit of a hiring challenge for companies out here, because Japan has a developer shortage. So they actively rely on recruiting developers from outside of the country to fill in or to supplement the lack of developers within the country. But because recruiters and companies are having difficulties doing that, they're rapidly trying to poach developers from existing companies, and as a result of that, market dynamics happen. Wages increase pretty significantly if you're a developer. If you ask me, if you were a developer at your current job, you had every single incentive to look for a new job because of these unusual circumstances. You can negotiate and ask for higher salaries by large percentages, that I will argue. So I started to apply for jobs around that time too, but this time more seriously. And my target was to hit or to find a job that was willing to offer me $80,000 because that was the industry average right now here in Japan, according to the salary data that I was looking at. But I was willing to settle for like 75,000. Even though I made 60K, anything below 75 just wouldn't have been worth my time. So even if I got an offer that paid more than my current job, but less than that benchmark that I set myself, I wouldn't even accept it because I knew my worth, and I figured that if a company wasn't willing to pay me what I defined what my worth was, I'm just gonna stay at my existing job and keep building up more skills and just making myself more competitive in the marketplace. So around this time, I started to release videos on my YouTube channel, and the videos were about crypto. I think the first video was about NFTs, the next one was about Bitcoin, the other one was about the metaverse. And the reason why was because one, I was studying those things, but also two, I figured maybe I'll probably get a job in the blockchain / crypto subsector of the industry. And for me to have those videos on my YouTube would instantly separate me from the rest of the candidates, at least on paper. Not only did I meet the qualification of most jobs that I applied for, but there you have someone who has a passion, but not just a passion, a demonstrated passion for these technologies because he has the extra currency, I suppose, of having a YouTube channel where he talks about it. And I figured I can use that to my advantage, basically. It actually worked. I received an offer for about $80,000 for a senior engineer position at one of Japan's largest crypto exchanges. I won't say which, but I was pretty proud of that accomplishment. But I didn't accept it because here's the plot twist. Because of that Black Experience Japan YouTube video, as well as Ranzo, the host of that channel, and you guys, the community, for watching, supporting, and ultimately increasing the engagement of that video, it ultimately reached one of the hiring managers, or the manager for my department rather, of the existing company that I work at right now. And he gave me the opportunity to do the interview, an opportunity that I'm internally grateful for because this is, as I mentioned, a bit of a dream and a surreal experience for me. I'm 27 years old and I managed to 5x my salary in 5 years while living in Japan. I'm still kind of shocked as I say it, but anyways, so the purpose of this video isn't to necessarily give you direct advice on how to achieve this, but offer you guys something a bit more intangible. And I wanted to share my story because I believe that it's a valuable thing to share, to give you guys some real perspectives. There's a few life lessons in there that I can directly point out. One, which is knowing your worth. Two, which is dealing and working through rejection and failure. And three, which is probably the most important one, sustained belief. Because at the end of the day, that's really all we have. So when I think about my story and I think about those lessons that anyone can take from it, it makes me think of this quote that I heard from a YouTube video that I watched of Steve Jobs.
You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever.
And yeah, that's kind of what this video is. When I look back at the last 5 years of my life, I was told no so many times. Easily over 60 times I've probably been rejected. So for those of you who are just getting started in your career, or you're looking for a career switch, whether it's in programming or whatever, or maybe you just want to move to Japan and that's the reason why you're watching this video, the thing that I want to leave you guys with is just believe in yourself and work hard and smart. And I promise if you keep grounded, things will naturally happen for you. I remember this other quote that I really enjoy. I think it was posted by one of my favorite rappers, J. Cole, on his Twitter. And it really stuck with me during a lot of those hard times. And I think it kind of went like, my heart is at ease knowing what was meant for me would never miss me. And what misses me was never meant for me. And I really think I needed some words like that to help keep me going, because if you look back at my story, from the racism I faced to the toxic work environments, the numerous rejections, I'm thankful for all those opportunities because they ultimately put me in the right direction. And I also want to say that this dream job that I landed right now isn't necessarily the destination, nor is it my ultimate goal. I mean, of course not. I'm 27 years old. And I'm also not saying that it should be the benchmark for your own personal definition of success either. Success means different things to different people. And to be honest, I still don't feel successful. Right now, I kind of feel like I need to prove myself at this new job and take this new income. And instead of spending it, investing it into my future so I can have even more and better opportunities. And that's basically it for this video. I hope this video wasn't a little bit too preachy. It's a different tone than my other videos. And I'm still pretty new to this YouTube thing, so I'm going to be experimenting with new content. I really just want to post this video to share my experience as well as give you guys valuable perspectives, because I know a lot of you guys are looking to get into software development and the road is quite frankly foggy. And so if my story can almost be one of the many guiding lights that you have on your own personal journey, I'm very happy and fulfilled to be posting this video. And to my homies right now that's watching this video and making that change in their life, whether it's software development or something else, through consistent effort, you'll be surprised about how much you can achieve in just 1 year.
Because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart, even when it leads you off the well-worn path, and that will make all the difference.